They watched from above, silent, immense, and distant. Their eyes, sharp as forged steel, had witnessed the birth of empires from the dust of ancient battles and their inevitable crumble into forgotten ashes. The great eagles of Middle-earth were no mere birds, no fleeting allies summoned at whim, no benevolent saviors descending from the heavens to pluck mortals from peril. They were primordial forces, woven into the fabric of Mordor itself, older than the memories etched in elven lore, older even than some of the Vala who shaped the world. And they never interfered unless the world balanced precariously on the knife's edge of utter annihilation, where the threads of fate threatened to unravel completely. The real question that echoed through the halls of scholars and the whispers of tavern tales was never simply why they didn't fly the One Ring straight to the fires of Mount Doom, sparing the Fellowship their harrowing journey. No, the deeper enigma was why they watched and waited, impassive as stone, while rivers of blood soaked the earth and thousands perished in agony. From the dawn of the First Age, these majestic beings had been feared more than revered. Born from the will of Manwë, the king of the Vala, shaped from the ethereal thoughts of the Aenir during the music of creation, they were sentinels of the boundless sky, impartial judges over the deeds of men, elves, dwarves, and all who walked beneath their shadows. Their loyalty was not to the desperate pleas of mortals, but to the divine mandates of the gods who governed the unseen realms. When they took to the wing, it was not on the whims of gentle breezes or the call of freedom. It was on command, precise, unyielding, and etched into the very essence of their being. Their silence was never born of ignorance or indifference. It was deliberate, a veil drawn by design to preserve the fragile balance of the world. In the secluded glades of the West, ancient lore masters whispered tales of Gwaihir, the Wind Lord, who once soared beyond the veil of clouds to commune with entities darker than Morgoth himself, shadows that lingered in the void where even the Vala tread with caution. In the sun-scorched lands of the East, nomadic tribes spun legends of a colossal eagle that descended under cover of night to devour traitors, its beak tearing flesh as judgment for betrayals that offended the stars. But no chronicle stirred more dread than the accounts from the Second Age, when the eagles abandoned an entire gleaming city to its fiery doom. Númenórean outposts, proud and defiant, stood against Sauron's encroaching hordes, their spires piercing the heavens like defiant spears. The people cried out as flames licked the walls, as orcs swarmed like locusts, and Sauron's dark sorcery choked the air with acrid smoke. The eagles circled high above, their immense wings casting fleeting shadows over the chaos. Their talons, sharp enough to rend mountains, could have swooped down to snatch hundreds from the jaws of death, carrying them to safety across the sea. Instead, they vanished into roiling storm clouds, their golden eyes reflecting the inferno below like mirrors of unfeeling fate. The city burned to cinders, its screams echoing into oblivion, while the eagles retreated, bound by oaths older than time. Flight, for these creatures, was never a symbol of liberation. It was a curse, a perpetual burden chained to their souls. They carried the weight of ancient laws, invisible to the eyes of men and incomprehensible even to the wisest of elves like Elrond or Galadriel. The Vala had decreed it so, no direct alteration of fate's course, lest the harmony of Ea, the world that is, be shattered. In Tolkien's intricate tapestry of Middle-earth, fate was an unbreakable chain, forged in the halls of Iluvatar, binding even the mightiest beings. The eagles, majestic as they were no exception. Their wings, though vast, could not sever those links without inviting catastrophe. When Frodo Baggins and the Fellowship of the Ring embarked on their perilous quest from the Serene Shire, Gandalf the Grey, wise Mithrandir, who had walked among eagles and spoken their tongue, never once petitioned them for overt aid. Not because the thought escaped him, nor because pride stayed his hand, but because he dreaded the horrors that might awaken should they defy their sacred prohibitions. The skies above Mordor were not empty voids patrolled solely by Orcish sentries or the fell beasts of the Nazgul. Something nameless stirred in the upper airs, a watcher without form or face, ancient beyond Sauron's malice, bound to the commands of forces that predated the Dark Lord's rise. The Nazgul, those wraith kings twisted by the rings of power, rode not just on winged monstrosities bred in the pits of Barad-dûr, but on winds corrupted by shadow, gusts that whispered secrets of doom and carried the chill of the void. Forgotten legends, buried in the dusty tomes of Minas Tirith's libraries, spoke of Thorondur's heir, a mighty eagle named Landrival, who once dared to pierce the foreboding skies above Barad-dûr in solitary defiance. It vanished without trace, swallowed by the ether. All that remained was a single feather, charred black and emanating a faint, unnatural heat, embedded in a crater of scorched earth miles from the tower. The warning was unequivocal. The air above Mordor belonged not to the free peoples, but to the dominion of darkness. By the Third Age, even the ancient Ents and the whispering willows of the old forest murmured that the heavens were cursed. The clouds over Mordor hung perpetually, a shroud of perpetual gloom. Thunder rumbled like the growls of chained beasts, yet no rain fell to quench the parched land. Lightning cracked the sky in jagged veins, illuminating horrors unseen, but never struck the ground to purge the evil. The atmosphere was tainted, thick with an oily miasma that burned the lungs and clouded the mind, a vigilant presence that watched every flutter of wing or footfall below. Sauron's eye atop Barad-dûr was no mere metaphor or architectural flourish. It was a manifestation of his indomitable will, projected like a baleful second sun, scorching the landscape with its gaze. It pierced illusions, sensed thoughts, divined purposes, and twisted wills to its bidding. Had an eagle attempted to bear the ring-bearer across that forsaken expanse, the eye would have detected them instantly. Sauron's legions would have mobilized, Nazgul screeching into the air, arrows darkening the sky like a plague of locusts, and worse, the Dark Lord himself might have gleaned the plan prematurely, accelerating his conquest and reclaiming the ring before Frodo could cast it into the cracks of doom. Gandalf knew this truth in his ancient